Imagine this. There was once a company named Big Blue Bubbles that was founded in 2002 by the man named Damir Slogar. Damir was inspired by video games due to his childhood background and wanted to create something of his own. Eventually, after numerous games, titles, and franchises, Big Blue Bubbles created My Singing Monsters in 2012. It was incredible to the player base. It sold millions of copies, costumes, and plushies, which made the company rich. But sooner or later, the game fell out of popularity and is considered forgotten by today's standards. So, what happened? How did My Singing Monsters become something so relevant to something so disappointing? This is Buff Ben. Today, we're getting into what really happened with My Singing Monsters. Remember to like and subscribe, and let's get into it. First off, this video will be separated into chapters as you see on the screen before you. Think about this as a table of contents. If you want to know more about a certain topic, you could replay it on the timestamps shown. But without further ado, let's actually get into the video. Back in 2012, My Singing Monsters released on iOS and quickly stood out from other mobile games. Instead of just another farming or city building clone, you had these adorable monsters that each played their own little instrument or vocal line. You place them on an island, and together they create a full evolving song. The more monsters you bred, the more complex the music got. It was simple, unique, and super addictive. This concept worked perfectly on mobile. Players would check back in, collect coins, breed monsters, and slowly build up an orchestra. It wasn't just a game, it was almost like a toy box of sound. The game eventually exploded thanks to word of mouth and YouTube. Tons of creators made videos showing off their islands, fan remixes, and even full-on music videos using monster sounds. Around 2013 to 2015, the game had one of the strongest online communities for a mobile title. People traded strategies, showed off rare monsters, and debated which islands had the best songs. The developers, Big Blue Bubble, leaned into this too. They constantly teased new monsters, seasonal events, and expansions. At its peak, My Singing Monsters felt alive, like there was always something new around the corner. With spin-offs like Dawn of Fire, plus toys, merch, and even a board game, it looks like the franchise was here to stay. By the mid-2010s, My Singing Monsters wasn't just a niche mobile title anymore. It was being advertised everywhere, featured on app stores, and even had a spotlight on TV commercials. If you played mobile games back then, you definitely saw it. And for a while, the game had this magical mix of nostalgia for kids who grew up with it and fresh curiosity from new players. But here's the thing about mobile games, staying relevant is hard, and that's where the cracks begin to show. So what happened? Why did My Singing Monsters lose its spotlight? First off, mobile gaming shifted. By the late 2010s, mobile gaming had changed a lot. Battle Royale titles, gacha games, and competitive PvP experiences dominated. Games like Fortnite, PUBG Mobile, and later Genshin Impact completely shifted players' expectations. Compared to those, My Singing Monsters felt slower and way more casual. It just couldn't keep up with the new wave. Another issue was repetitiveness. Once you built a few islands and heard the songs, the gameplay loop gets repetitive. Breed, wait, place, repeat. Yes, new monsters were added of course, but at its core the formula barely evolved. For longtime players, it eventually felt like there wasn't much else to do. Then, on top of all that, there were pay-to-win frustrations. Like many mobile games, My Singing Monsters relied heavily on microtransactions. Rare monsters often required premium currency, and timers could stretch into days unless you paid. For casual players, this was fine, but for dedicated fans, it created a wall. You either had to grind endlessly or spend money. Over time, that drove a lot of people away. In addition to this, the game started lacking mainstream attention. While the devs kept updating it, it never hit mainstream culture the same way again. Other mobile titles overshadowed it, and without huge viral moments, it slowly slipped out of relevance. And finally, community fatigue set in. Remember, the fanbase played a huge role in keeping the game popular, but as interest declined, YouTubers and content creators moved on. Without that constant stream of new content and hype, the game struggled to pull new players in. Eventually, the game was mostly forgotten and players started moving away one by one. To be fair, My Singing Monsters didn't just vanish. The devs have kept supporting it with new monsters, new islands, and even collaborations. There's still a passionate community keeping it alive, and TikTok actually gave it a small resurgence when people started making memes out of the monster's sounds. But the truth is, it's nowhere near the cultural force it used to be. It went from everyone's talking about it to only hardcore fans are still around. Even though My Singing Monsters fell off in terms of popularity, it deserves credit for what it accomplished. It was one of the first mobile games to blend creativity, collection, and music in such a unique way. It influenced tons of other games, and for many players, it's still a nostalgic classic. And honestly, if you hear those monster voices today, you instantly remember the vibe. That's the kind of impact most mobile games can only dream of having, and My Singing Monsters did just that. This is the section of the video where I state games that came after or before to show relevance to the previous title. These were initially not included or barely referenced in the script due to them being useless or unimportant in the main game, but were added in for more information. The first game is My Singing Monsters Dawn of Fire. This was the direct prequel to the original My Singing Monsters game and obviously was portrayed to influence the younger generation. Dawn of Fire was basically just the same game, but instead of the monsters being adults, they were kids. Sure, there were other buildings and mechanics used, and the overall visuals were much better than the original game. However, it acted as a copy and paste, having the same patterns as the original did before. The overall community of My Singing Monsters actually liked the game, and I did too. It wasn't hated, it was just kind of the same thing, so how could people not like it? The second game was My Singing Monsters Composer. This game was considered by many fans to be the creative mode to My Singing Monsters. It was literally the exact same game, except instead of breeding or placing monsters, the players were given the ability to make any song you wanted with the instruments given to you. This made players who loved music in the game create their own standalone songs that aren't only created by the original monsters' sounds. Instead of the constant and basic rhythm that the monsters had before, the player could change them however they wanted. The overall community also liked this game, since it gave them more accessibility than before, which is always nice to have. The third and last game, and honestly the worst game out of all My Singing Monsters, was called My Singing Monsters Playground. I didn't even know that this game existed until I accidentally found it on my PlayStation store like 2 years ago. Anyways, My Singing Monsters Playground, to me at least, was just a copy and pasted worse version of Super Mario Party from Nintendo. Overall, the player base didn't appreciate it much, saying that it was short-lived and didn't have that much content, and I don't necessarily know what they were going with this game. I mean, My Singing Monsters is a mobile app. It shouldn't be transported to consoles because it just doesn't fit the original format of the games. They should have gone the route similarly to Dawn of Fire, where it was the same game but there was enough mechanics to make it seem like another game. So, at the end of the video, what did we learn? That My Singing Monsters lost the mainstream spotlight for sure, but for its dedicated fans it never truly went away. It's a reminder that even the weirdest, most unexpected game ideas can explode into global hits, but also that nothing in gaming stays on top forever. This was the rise and fall of My Singing Monsters. And this is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed. Remember to like and subscribe so I could keep on doing this. And check out my music channel if you want to. I don't really. If you do it could, that'd be awesome. Anyways, I'm going to be posting my songs there. And this is Buff Ben. And I will see you guys next time. See ya.
Luces bajas, nadie fala. Tus ojos gritan lo que tu boca cala. Silencio tenso, se me instala.